Hello, everyone. So, I'm going to talk today about governments as digital entrepreneurs. Let's start with the fact first that governments across the world are making artificial intelligence a national priority. Just look at the number of countries. Every month, it seems, a new country comes out and says it has an AI strategy. But really, it all started with China. China decided that it was going to make technology, digital, AI, robotics, its competitive edge. And it started investing in it, and then all other countries, including the United States, began to notice. And this is just last year, President Trump also announced that now the US has a comprehensive strategy for artificial intelligence. So this is all very good, but is it all talk? It's easy for all of the governments to make policies, but at what point does government really begin to implement it, and how should it approach it? How should it approach supporting its citizens and its companies? Well, I'm going to take you all the way from where I just came, which is Singapore. In Singapore, we have one thing that is more important to us than anything else, and that's our people. Because we don't have oil and gas or natural commodities, we import almost a lot of our food. The former Deputy Prime Minister asked all of us citizens, what if skills and jobs had an expiry date? What would you do then? And government knew this was an important question to ask. I'll tell you why with one example. Singapore is a financial hub. We compete with New York, Tokyo, Hong Kong, London to be one of the places where capital flows. And we don't want to lose that advantage. Yet we also know that financial services are now called fintech because technology is changing banking. But here's the narrative we see. The former CEO of Citigroup said over 30% of jobs will be lost to automation. The former CEO of Deutsche Bank said, oh, not just 30%, 50%. And then this is the rhetoric that we see in the popular media. You have a company like Lemonade, a great startup for insurance that uses artificial intelligence, but the drama is all about fire the brokers. Now, as a government, when you are encouraging digitalization and artificial intelligence, this narrative is not useful, good, or the way you want to proceed. It scares citizens. It disempowers people. So Singapore said, we are going to move forward. We are going to embrace technology as a country, but we're not going to leave our people or values behind. This is a very conscious decision. Companies need to take that. Governments need to take that. And the premise is the following. The 21st century team is a team of superheroes with different skills. Your skill, my skill, our colleagues' skills, they all matter. We can't just replace bankers with coders, coders with data scientists. The new team is one in which business and technology needs to work together. And this means that for every citizen, the message is you matter. Your domain expertise matters. You have something already, your experience, what you've studied, but it's not enough. Now you must learn how to work with deep tech people, roboticists, VR experts, AI experts. And only then can we move forward as a country. So here's what it did. It started inviting all these AI startups to Singapore and said, come, we're going to disrupt our banking sector ourselves. We're not going to put our head in the sand like an ostrich. Come and invest in our country. Come and create disruption in our financial services. But we won't leave our bankers behind. It started to subsidize courses like this one, AI in Finance, that actually teaches bankers the impact of AI in the field that they're studying, like wealth management, credit scoring, trade finance, so that they know how they can use their knowledge, their expertise, their goals, and innovate with the help of data scientists, machine learning engineers, coders, user experience designers. And in fact, Singapore went more than that. It told all citizens, go ahead, start this journey, take any course you want, we'll give you $500. When you run out, come back for more. Because it realized that, first of all, people need to find meaning in their work. And if they find meaning in their work and like it, they will run into the need for AI and technology, and then they will partner with the right people. Because no matter which industry you're in, you can use AI to innovate and amplify your potential. Your routine tasks can be done by a machine, freeing your time up. You can get new insights based on extreme computational data mining that humans can't do alone. Now, it sets up all of these frameworks, subsidies. It's trying to promote digitization, to innovate while protecting citizens. But that's not enough for any government. The government must lead by example. Every government cannot just support industry, it must innovate and transform itself. In Singapore, they set up an entirely new agency called GovTech. And GovTech's job was the digital transformation of all the other agencies: public transportation, healthcare, port authority. And they did it by creating a very startup-like culture in GovTech and going from agency to agency, prototyping solutions for them and upskilling them and teaching them how to transform with technology. It began to act like an agile entrepreneur itself. And that is critical. Singapore government announced that it will begin to move to the cloud. It will encourage all companies to go cloud native, but it itself will also lead the way by transferring government agency information, whichever it can, to the cloud. And then when it talks about things like blockchain, it's going to help do it as well. So now the Education Ministry, with the help of GovTech, is issuing certs, education certificates on the blockchain for 19 polytechnics in Singapore, so that when they graduate, their certification is on the blockchain. They can send it anywhere in the world, and it doesn't need to be verified because it has been put in the blockchain ledger. And then it did more than that. It realized that small companies are most vulnerable to being left behind. So it said, we are going to go on the cloud, and we're going to subsidize and help you go on the cloud as well. There is a whole Go Digital, SME, small, medium enterprise, Go Digital initiative, whose entire purpose is to bring along small companies with it. So it's always this constant tango between showing how it's done and then supporting those most vulnerable. It's been followed by some of the largest corporations. They are taking their cue as they try to be entrepreneurial. They know that in the government, they have a partner who's trying to do the same, who understands the challenges. Nobody wants a patronizing government only. Anybody who goes through digital transformation knows its highs and lows. So DBS, the largest bank in Singapore, one of the largest in Asia, most successful, started to become entrepreneurial in itself and become a digital bank. And here's what Piyush Gupta, the CEO, did. He started to do the same thing the government was doing, and which is recommended by everyone. He started investing in multidisciplinary teams. By the way, McKinsey, Salesforce, Google, they're all moving to this new 21st century team, which is not just of one type of person, but a variety of people. And then also he started retraining people so that they wouldn't lose their jobs. If a robo-advisor can replace your wealth manager, then what can your wealth manager do better with that robo-advisor? And at DBS, already 1,600 people have been reskilled, 900 have already moved to new jobs. The job changes, the people don't have to leave. Now, this is a very one-sided story I told you. If you've been in technology, you know every technology has two sides to it, the good and the bad. And if AI is as powerful as we know it is, then with great power comes great responsibility. And the government needs to be the kind of responsible entrepreneur, the kind of responsible government that leads a nation in the right direction. This means a safety-first approach. This means that you don't just give people a very shiny new sports car that goes super fast but has no airbag. Singapore became one of the first countries in the world to win an award at the United Nations because it put in place an ethics advisory board. It put in place R&D funding to understand how to prevent bias and manipulation through AI. And it put a guideline and framework together that companies like mine are using to make ethical decisions and have transparency, accountability, and governance in the process of implementing artificial intelligence. This is very important. Entrepreneurship is not a one-sided game. And when you're the government, it is not for profit. It is truly being citizen-centric and leading, again, by example. Now, in the EU, we already have seen some of this new regulations that are coming forward. We're seeing that the governments are trying to put human rights as data rights. And I think this is really wonderful for us to see in Asia. There is much that Asia and Europe can learn from each other. I'm really excited to be here today and to talk to many of the entrepreneurs and government agencies in order to learn and take back to Singapore some of the things that Europe shows us on how to do business. But I also hope that today I've shared some of the approach that I found really inspiring in how the Singapore government has actually moved forward and balanced innovation and governance together to create better outcomes for its citizens and a better role model for its companies. Thank you.